Everybody, welcome today. We're so honored to be with you today. I hope everybody in the United States had a wonderful week and had a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. It's a very magical place for us to in the United States to have that special time to be able to do that. Wait, we got a problem. Is there a problem, Debbie?
Yes, I'm not seeing you on YouTube.
Oh, I'm definitely streaming. Let's see if we're coming out okay. We'll ask. We got some people in the chat room. Can you guys see us? Let us know.
Yeah, right now I
Okay,
can't
let's.
even see the chat
Yeah,
room.
we've got South Africa, we've got Seattle, we've got a whole bunch of places coming in here today. Can you see us, guys? Let us know if you're good. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, they can see us. We're streaming fine. So there must be something on your end, Debbie. I think we're good.
Okay.
So
No, I
anyway,
can.
welcome everybody. And since you're there, we're going to introduce Debbie. So Debbie Cutler's here today with us too. So she's going to be working the
I got.
chat room with us today. Yeah, thanks, Debbie. Thanks for being with us. We have a few people keeping an eye on things, so that's really helpful. And of course, Levon is with us again today. Levon McPherson. Hi, Levon. Say hi. Glad
Hi,
you're here.
everyone.
Good. So we'll be going back and forth. Glad you're here. Thanks for being with us today. It's a very special time for all of us. I don't know about the rest of you. I still have family hanging around from the weekend, so it's been a wonderful time to hang around with family and to reconnect in all the wonderful ways that we do. But it's such a interesting tradition because it's all about gratitude. It's all about giving thanks. It's all about which, of course, the group says is the greatest opportunity we have for creation in those ways. So anyway, today we're going to get into the questions and answers. We have quite a few. We got quite a few people in the chat room. If you do have questions, you're welcome to put them in there. Debbie will keep an eye on them. Hopefully, as they fly by, we'll try to stay with there too, so you can ask questions in the chat room as well. So welcome today, everybody. Okay, ladies, I'm going to mute you for just a minute while I go into channel because the group really wants to talk today. So I'm going to start opening up with a little channel for the month, and we'll go from there. By the way, I will tell everybody we used to do a monthly channel on the Virtual Light broadcast, and that channel would turn into the beacons of light that go out every month. We'd have it edited and dress it up and so forth, make it readable because you use different language when you read than when you speak. And we did that for 25 years. That has now changed. I will tell you the channel that you're going to hear today will only be here. You will not see it again. You won't hear it again. The Beacons of Light that goes out every month is channeled specifically for the Beacons of Light every month. It's a different channel. It's not done live. So we've changed that, and I just wanted to explain that to everybody that we are still doing the monthly channel. It will be, I'm going to give you the monthly channel in just a minute. So it'll be what we do here in the SpiritCast every month. And the Beacons of Light that goes out every month is different than this channel. So I hope you enjoy. Anyway, thanks everybody for being here today. I'm going to drop into channel very quickly. I'm going to put the little Espavo sign up for just a second while I blow my nose, and then we'll be right back. Espavo, everybody. Greetings from home, dear ones. I am the Keeper of Time. I've joined you this day, for you are changing so much on your planet. There's many things that we wish to share with you to let you know of what is taking place. But it's an astounding thing for us to watch from this side of the veil. That is one thing that we'd really like to let you in on. In fact, we're going to be doing this next month. We'll be doing a whole process of how to channel, but not the typical channel thing that we're normally going to do. We're going to share with you what it looks like from our side of the veil to find people to channel through and how that works from our side. So you can see a little bit more of what that's all about. The reality is your connection to your own spirit is starting to grow. It's starting to get more integrated into everything that you do. Now, this is part of what we've talked about with the fifth dimensional reality, shifting into a higher frequency where you can live. Now, right now, it's still momentary. It's not every second of every day. You jump into the fifth dimension for a while, you experience some beautiful things, and then you come back and you take care of your kids. And you do something in a third dimensional reality. So for the time being, it's going to be moving back and forth. And that effort of being able to change and shift dimensions is going to become critical going forward in the next few years. As everything starts to evolve, you're going to see many things start to change. Now, we've told you the story before. You've heard it over and again about the Shiva that must come in and destroy everything so the Shakti can rebuild anew. Does it have to go that far? That is what we are asking humans. Well, this is up to you. Do you need to destroy everything in your path to rebuild anew, or can you start adapting a new reality right where you are this day? That's what we're hoping. That's what we're setting into motion for you, is for you to start changing your reality a little bit every day. You see, humans have a real difficult time with change in general. Shifting energy is very challenging for humans to deal with, and yet you have so much of it coming. So practicing that process, you are here now. That's the critical piece. Forget the future, forget the past. What do you have right now? This now moment becomes more important than ever before. And that is one key element of all of this. You see, we've told you many times, you live in this linear timeline. You're guided by your past and your experiences in your past. You have trained your bodysuit to react in certain ways because of things that have taken place in the past, and also things that you hope for in the future. And none of those are real. You only have right now. So the question becomes, what is the highest potential that you can create in your energy field right now and walk in this moment? Now, you may get angry later in the day and you say, oh, I lost it. I got angry. I got into one of my human emotions, or you got jealous, or you got frustrated or miscommunicated, whatever it was. Please understand, dear ones, that's not a failure. You still had a few moments in this higher vibration. The more that you can experience that, no matter what happens afterwards, the more that you can live in that vibration all the time. It does take practice to live in a fifth dimensional reality. You've been living in a third dimensional reality for so long. It has been interesting to watch from our side of the veil. Now, you have new capabilities. Live in this moment now, and all the other stuff goes away, including the fear of the future, including the fear of things that have happened in the past, the things that you have trained yourself for, the PTSD that almost everybody carries in some form. Those affect your life greatly, and they don't have to. They can have a different effect than you've been thinking. All of this is changeable. Now, we wish to speak about one other subject here today because it's important. We have recently come together with you and told you that the extra dimensionals, or ETs as you call them, they have basically been working with your planet to work with some of the restrictions. You see, as the planet goes through changes, which she is evolving as well, obviously, that's why you're seeing so many difficulties and becoming aware of some of the problems that she has. You're starting to see those changes taking place more rapidly. One of the changes that is really difficult has to do with the rotation of the water on your planet. You have called it the Gulf Stream. There's many words that you've called for it, and it's not just on one side of the planet. There's many aspects of how all of this energy moves and how you carry warmth from the sun into the water, and then how it dives down and brings the fresh water back. It's a circulation system, and it has been broken. Now, we've told you a couple of months ago that the ETs that were working on this have resolved quite a bit of it, and they did. But we also tell you there's a larger problem at stake with the Gulf Stream. Now, the Gulf Stream also has a huge effect on your everyday world. Now, it may be strange that we're talking about this because you may live in the middle of some country, some place where it's not affected by the water at all. Not true. You're all affected by the Gulf Stream. In fact, if it actually breaks down, you will have massive division. You will have one set of countries, especially Western Europe, will get very cold while the rest of the world can get hot and warmer. So you now start to have this division. This can change. And you can do this with your own heart. You can be aware of it. You can send energy to the planet herself. We're going to do some work with water coming up too. And if you miss it, next month when we come together, bring a small container of water with you. We're going to bless that. We're going to work with it as a group. And then you're going to take it and introduce it into your water locally, which will spread through the planet very quickly. It's an opportunity for us to do something intentional to assist in the work that the ETs are doing now with the Gulf Stream. There is a great fear on your people who study this on your Earth that the whole system is breaking down. And we tell you that is a possibility, but it's off in the distance. Do not worry about that at this point, because your planet would change very radically, very similar to the ways that it changed at the end of the days of Atlantis. That does not need to happen. We want to make that very clear. You are in charge. How do you work with that? You set your energy. You envision it. You see what's taking place 5, 10 years down the road. You put yourself in that situation for just a moment. Now, it's the future. It's an illusion. It's not real. But it also gives you a guideline of many things that you set yourself up for, that you can start working with in that way. So this is one of the areas that we want to make you aware of and let you know that there's so much taking place. You are loved far beyond your understanding, dear ones. Your world has been changed a couple of times by these loving beings. Now, you have a lot of fear about ETs and so forth about that. We're not going to tell you that all of them are perfect beings. They're kind of like humans. They have a wide variety of vibration of beings, much more so than actually on human Earth. So there's quite a lot that you can work with on this. But the idea first is to open your heart to possibilities. Start seeing the greatest smile on your face as a result of what is going to take place over the next several years. That will put you in the perfect place. And no matter what takes place, no matter what storms come into your field, you will be risen above them, or you'll be placed in a place where you can observe and not be affected in the same way that most people will be. That is your choice. You have that opportunity in this moment now. You can change all of it, dear ones. You can step into the higher vibration, even momentarily, and can resolve so many things. It's so much easier to work with if you understand that process. So place yourself into the joy. Place yourself into that illusion that everything is perfect. And so it becomes. You are creator beings, each and every one of you. You have abilities to create your reality, and you do all the time. You don't always see it, and you don't always understand that that was your creation, because many times it's like a brick wall that you hit, and you have to figure out what you're going to do next. Certainly not your choice as a human. It may have very well been your choice as a spirit. So you start to learn to integrate all of this together, because you have walked separately as a spirit and as a human, and in the 5D, that changes. There is an integration that takes place that we have told you about over and again. Now there's been all the illusions that this was going to happen on a specific date, and now people are frustrated because that date has passed, and you're still dealing with third dimensional realities. We tell you that's going to continue as long as you collectively choose it, but it is not set in stone. And the more that you can do high vibrational things, meditations, energies, activations, just focusing on your spirit, learning to channel, learning to speak, learning to let your heart be seen, those are things that can change right in this moment now. And they set up the possibilities for the greatest future events ever. There are some incredible opportunities taking place on planet Earth right at this moment. And we tell you, your space has been reserved. Many of you are here on planet Earth, even as last timers. In other words, the last time you've been here. You don't need to be here anymore. You learn so much from planet Earth, and then you move to a different vibrational level, and you're on a different game, so to speak. Well, we tell you, many of you had enough brownie points, if you wish, to graduate into that present last time, and here you are. You're so in love with planet Earth. Stir that love, spread it. Know that sometimes if you have come back as a last timer, things can be a little frustrating because you've already gone through so much of it. You just want to get to the good stuff, the stuff that's meaningful for you. And your peers may not understand you because of the speed at which you do things. Please just understand. That's a beautiful aspect. You've come back to be here to hold energy at a critical time on planet Earth. You are not alone, dear ones, and you're doing work. Even if you can't see what you're doing, you're holding the energy of the fifth dimension. You fold it first as a thought pattern. Then you bring it into your heart, and you take it out of the head and balance it in the heart, and you start to live it. That's perfect. And that is directly in front of all of you at this moment. So welcome home, dear ones. You've made it. You've made the journey as you supposed, as you were hoping to. And now it begins again. A whole nother level is starting. In 2026, there are many aspects that are going to take place. We ask you to hang on, enjoy the journey. Don't look at the good and bad because all of that is starting to disappear. You're starting to see that there is no black and white. It's all shades of gray. There's a magical place where you can start integrating in so many beautiful ways. Keep up the good work, dear ones, and know that you are never alone. We tell you, we are standing right beside you. We are proud to be here. For you, dear ones, are the greatest angels that have ever lived. And with that, we pass you on now to ask your questions, to be able to answer in that level. And we thank you for being not only here with you here at this moment, but we thank you for being here on this earth. You've held the energy, you've brought some of the keys for what is needed going forward. Well done, dear ones. Well done. With that, we simply ask you to treat each other with respect. Nurture one another at every opportunity and play well together. I will take questions at this point. Espavo, dear ones. Espavo.
Thank you. Our first question, Steve and the group. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. I have a quick question about the inner feeling of experiencing a powerful, deep longing that feels like I'm ready to go home. It's not a sad feeling, but a sense of completeness, as if I'm finishing a major life chapter. I'm wondering if other light workers resonate with this, and I would be grateful for any insights on what this intense sensation might signify. Thank you for all of your work. Sending much love. EC.
You have just described what we were just talking about. Being a last timer on your planet is rather difficult sometimes. You feel like you're there, you should be there, you should be, but you don't feel like you quite belong sometimes, and it becomes very challenging. And you feel like you're ready to go home anytime, and you can go home at any time. So there are wonderful pieces of this, but there's also a lot of confusion about it because of the ways that you're being drawn and you're being pulled. But this is what it feels like to be a last timer. This is what it feels like to be a last timer last time. You're here. You brought, and we know that you do not think you have a lot of wisdom that you've brought. We know that you have not written 27 books in 14 languages and so forth to make a difference in that way. But what we also see is that you carry the light, and that is huge. That is a big piece of it. So no matter how it works that you put your energy out, even through just normal speaking, you're carrying a message. It's a beautiful message. Thank you for being here on the earth at this time. It's well done. Espavo, dear one.
Thank you. Hello, Steve and the group. I wonder if you could give additional information about the beings cloned by Atlantean scientists. Merlia said the cloned beings evolved, became their own race, and are living in today's humanity. Are you allowed to say where they colonize? Thank you for sharing with us, Yvonne.
Everywhere. There are many of these beings that don't know that that's where their origins are from. So the reality is, in the beginning, the Atlanteans learned to clone. And you worked incredibly well. Today, most of your advances are in different areas, in electronics, in what you call technology. In those days, you focused more in the biological areas. And you learned not only how to strengthen people that needed strength, but how to make people live longer and so forth. And then you got into cloning. Well, it was a fairly simple process. You clone today as well, dear ones. You know that you clone animals. You don't know that you clone humans, but there are many of them already walking around on the planet. So we will tell you that there is no reason to say that this group is hiding over here and they're the others that used to be. No, dear ones, they're here. They're all of you. They have integrated into your reality because you are descendants of Atlantis, all of Atlantis, and Lemuria. That's the beautiful part. You carry many of these energies and these deep connections on different levels. But the reality is the others were considered to be separate. They were given specific rules. They were told not to procreate, and they were kept separate. The men over there, the women over there, they were not even working together. It was absolutely critical that they not. Doesn't that sound like some of your Bible stories about the Garden of Eden? Well, a very similar situation took place. Did it work? No. Eve bit the apple in the garden. You also had the process here with Yanni and Yali. We told him. We told the story of how this happened to the others and how two of them fell in love. It was an incredible piece. You cannot have just a walking robot. If you're going to manufacture things of that nature, they're going to have a heart. Now, you think it's interesting because if you've gone through the process of having a child and having the spirit integrate into that body of that child, you don't even think about that because you just think the child has grown up in natural ways. But the reality is that spirit took almost 14 years to integrate into that body. The spirit doesn't fully integrate into a physical body until after puberty. That's the process. That's the connection where the spirit is fully into a physical body at that point. Now, it's certainly there. You see personalities, you see different aspects, but it takes a while for that to really, truly happen. But here you are, holding the energy as a last timer, last time. Well done, dear one. Well done. Back to you.
That was beautiful. Thank you. are next. Hi, Steve and the group. I'm happy to connect with you once more and also want to thank you for the work that you are doing. I am a Triad member, and I also wish to thank the group for answering my last question. Concerning the Triad, what would the group like to say to me, as well as for those that did decide to initiate and undertake this endeavor to its next stage? I'm happy I did. I am communicating via this platform as this allows me to attempt to probably reach you. Thanking you in advance for your understanding. Paolo.
Let us simply explain that you always reach us here. The keeper gets very busy with things. And yet, the reality is the triads do work. What are the triads? So that those people that may not be aware of what we have spoken, the triads are simply a three. They're simply three people coming together in some way. To form a triad of trusted people becomes really helpful because there are times when humans are going to get out of balance, whether it's out of balance because of a thought process, whether it's out of balance because of physical attributes, whether it's out of balance because of an emotional upset, because of an emotional swing, whatever the case, you know one thing. Humans are going to be all over the place. It's part of your nature. It's part of your beauty, actually. But yet, it becomes difficult to stabilize in that situation. So what we ask you to do is to find two other beings, or even three other beings, and form a triad of energy. In other words, at least two other people that you can connect with when you are feeling these imbalances, when you are feeling this energy moving in different ways, when you are feeling scared, when you are feeling lost, when you're feeling like you don't know what to do next. That's a perfect opportunity. Now, here's the interesting thing. These people that you have chosen for your triad, they're not experts. And the interesting thing is they may not have the correct answer for you, but they will get you thinking in that way. So please don't give your power to anyone, including the triad. But use the triad to stimulate you, to get new ideas, to anchor what your fears are. And perfectly fine to say, I'm afraid. I don't even know what I'm afraid of, but I'm in fear. I'm not sleeping well. I'm doing all these other things. That's a perfect opportunity to speak this humanness to your triad, to the other beings. Now, some of them will write back and give you suggestions. Some of them will just listen. Some of them won't write back at all. It doesn't make any difference. It's not about them. It's about your reaction to them. So please understand that that's what it's about. So know that the moment you speak, the moment you reach into that triad, that's when the magic happens. Plain and simple. You have set an energy into motion, and that works. Well done, dear ones. Well done. Espavo.
Thank you. Steve, I attend natural, holistic, spiritual shows about 3 to 4 times a year. And every time I receive a reading from a psychic or a medium, they mention first names only. Like they say, "Who's Bob?" Or "Will you meet?" Or "You will meet a Marie." And I look at them and say, "I know 4 Bobs and 5 Maries." How come spirit doesn't relay the last name of these individual souls so that they so much want to speak to me through these psychics and mediums? Let me read that again. How come spirit doesn't relay the last name of these individual souls? Is the essence of it. Steve, how do I know which Bob or Marie that they are? And the psychic just says after that, "I don't know." But only my mother, my father, my uncle, they say, to describe souls. And again, I have 5 uncles at least, but they won't say their first names. Is there a rule up in heaven or any other dimension that doesn't allow last names? I love all that you do every day for people, Steve. Keep going. Okay, David.
We have a problem. Thank you. Thank you, Debbie. We're chatting away here with no sound on. We apologize. So would you repeat just the last part of the question?
Yes. So the last part of the question is there some type of rule up in heaven or another dimension that does not allow the last names of individuals that are being spoke of through a psychic or a medium channel to be spoken?
We love that. No, there are no rule books in heaven. You're all connected to each other. There's no reason to define anything when you are at home. So it's a pretty amazing thing. Now, being able to communicate from spirituality, from the spirit side of things into the physical aspect requires a human. That's where you're running into challenges. You're going to these fairs, and you say you go 2 or 3 times a year. You are gathering information about all of these things. We find it really interesting because from our perspective, you should be on the other side of the table. If you're gaining information by going to these things and seeing what everyone is doing and what they are doing, but you're also giving your power away. The reality is, don't. Just take whatever they tell you, smile, walk away, because you're not going to be able to determine right off the bat whether they have helped you or whether they've given you valuable information. So what you do is simply take the information, express your frustration, absolutely, at the Bobs and Maries in your life and the challenges of being able to hear that. But you also must understand that going to these venues, you're drawing in a certain type of product, if you will. It becomes about spreading the word, about making a living, about doing other things at that aspect too. So many of these, even though they're wonderful to walk around and see, be careful about giving your power to any of them. And if you're getting inconsistent answers all the way around, stop asking those questions of those people. Go somewhere else to work with this. The reality is that you have a lot of this energy yourself, which is why you're drawn to these fairs. But you're on the wrong side of the table. You should be doing the readings, not getting them. And that is what you're doing right now. You're getting the courage. You're getting the comfort with being able to work with them in that way. And that is worthwhile. So just understand that these are one aspect of things. But there's also many spiritual people, including the Keeper, that have never gone to these types of venues. So they draw a certain type of venue, a certain type of energy out there. It's not right, it's not wrong. They're a lot of fun, there's a lot of joy. But keep in mind, there's a lot to spirituality outside of those commercial venues as well. So enjoy that journey, enjoy that ride. But as far as being able to identify beings on the other side of the veil, we find that very few people are actually really good at what you call mediumship. It is a very difficult aspect because as you start to connect with another being on the other side of the veil, you automatically imprint them with your humanism. You find human traits. And when they're on the other side of the veil, dear ones, they have integrated all of their dimensions, and they're perfect again. So to project something on there, oh, your father wants to apologize for you. Well, it would be nice to hear that if you are the human, but does a father really need to apologize for anything? No, it was all set up. It was all done by contract for the most part. So the interesting aspect is you're perfect when you go home. And it's very difficult for many people to do that. So whatever the case, understand that, and as far as last names or identifications, those are all human attributes. There came a time early on when you only used one name for a very long time on planet Earth. So it's simply a question of being able to interpret. So you're speaking to interpreters, and that's who you're speaking to. Enjoy the journey. Love what you're doing, but don't put too much energy into giving your power to it. play the game, and dare to step on the other side of the table. I think you're liable to find some wonderful things happening, Espavo.
Thank you. Our next question. About a year ago, you told me a new partner was destined for me. And this proved true when I met him. A much younger man with whom I've had a deep soul and telepathic connection with, and have spent almost all of my time now with. I'm currently in a separate location, but for the past 2 months, there's been no sexual intimacy because he says he's no longer physically attracted to me and that he needs to flirt with other women. This leaves me confused and asking for your guidance on whether this is temporary. He often says that he loves me so much, but I've started to doubt whether he is really the one predicted by the group of 9 for me. How should I best respond? And I want to know if he's truly the partner you predicted for me. Mara.
He is the partner that we predicted from you, but let us go back and explain spiritual contracts, because that's what we saw coming. And times when we do private sessions with people, sometimes we can look ahead and what we see is a contract usually circulating around again. So in other words, you're at a certain age, but 20 years before you had an opportunity to have that contract that didn't happen. He was in a relationship, you were in a relationship, whatever the case, it didn't work. And it passed around and it circled all the way around, and most of the time it'll come back in. But that is the contract to meet. That's the only part of the contract. You're on the planet of free choice. What you do with that contract, how it works, how you are able to build with that contract, that's the part that you have to decide here. That is not decided on the other side of the veil. That is not decided when you make the contract. The outcome of the situation only has to do with that. There are many times, dear ones, where people work with a contact 3, 4, 5 lifetimes in a row and continually have the same outcome, which is why they bring it back the next time. They try to do it again in a different way. But sometimes that is the piece. So when we say you have someone coming into your life, it doesn't mean you're going to walk up and spend the rest of your life together. That rarely happens. The truth of the matter is we see that there's something you two are going to work on, and we think it's just popped up right in front of you right now. So to be completely honest with another person is what builds the contracts. If that is not acceptable to you, then say so, plain and simple. He is bringing new rules into your relationship, and you need to simply say whether you are in agreement with those rules. They're not right or wrong. There's many people that have open relationships quite successfully, but they have to be decided upon not by one person. And that is a critical piece. Now, when you talk about building relationships, there are several ways of building relationships. Mostly through communication, being able to tell them anything. It actually sounds like he is starting to speak what he is feeling. Now, those feelings may not be in harmony with you to build a relationship, especially if he's attracted to other women, and that is not okay with you. Then speak it. Say that is not part of this relationship, and I'm not willing to go there. And if he constantly is focusing in that area, that is one key piece, is the communication, which is usually verbal. But there's also the physical communication. And that has to be built as well. You can't just jump in bed with somebody and know what turns them on. It takes time to build the same way it takes time to speak to somebody and be able to build that level of communication. So is it possible to have a relationship without sexual energy? It is. Everything is possible, but we also tell you it's usually pretty empty. So you decide what is important in your life. You decide what is going to work for you. You decide what you want as far as boundaries in a relationship, and be able to communicate that and speak it to him. And we hope that this is not an explosion where you two move apart and end up just miscommunicating. We hope that this opens the door for deeper communication, even if you don't end up together, because the contract is not about walking the rest of your life hand in hand. The contract is about coming together and meeting. And you have done that now. That is in motion. So yes, this is the person we talked about. It is a recycle. It did come through almost 35 years ago, so it had an opportunity earlier. But the reality is it's here now. Deal with it. It's awkward. It's uncomfortable, but it also has some great capabilities for you to build some incredible things. If it's with him, that's perfect. If not, complete the contract and move on. And we hope that's helpful. When we talk about meeting somebody or so forth, that's a contract you've made, but it doesn't mean you're always going to work with. Sometimes these are difficult, but you're doing well. Keep up the good work. You're right on target, Espavo.
Thank you. I think that's something that all ladies can relate to. So thank you for that. I guess that's a little bit of live and let live. Our next question. Hello, Steve and the group. This is a real privilege to be able to ask this question. It is my understanding that humanity, as well as planet Earth, are ascending. Since we are experiencing an increase in frequency due to the increased light to the planet, is it true that beings of light are incarnating now? Or will the increase in frequency or vibration enable us to see these beings, whereas before our bandwidth wasn't big enough? That being said, would that mean that we would be able to see the members of the group? Many thanks, Monique.
Probably not, because we have never taken physical form on Earth. So for you to see us in our native form, you understand, dear ones, we're taking these forms to communicate with you. That's the idea. We're playing human. We are pretending to be human the same as you do many times. So that's basically what this is. But you will find, again, vibrations change, things shift. You'll find a lot of energy coming in. There's some incredible pieces that are starting to unfold right now on a regular basis. And because of those things opening up at this point, you have capabilities of going much further than you ever thought possible. And we look forward to that. I hope that answers part of your question, at least. Espavo.
Thank you. For years, I've been told that I have all kinds of sensory gifts, such as clairvoyance, being an empath, and a healer. I do Reiki and hypnosis. However, as for the sensory gifts, they have not manifested. With all the energy changes lately, I still do not feel the shifts or pretty much anything like that. Could you help me with this? Thank you, Elizabeth.
You bet. The shift is really hitting the fan now, they call it. Yes. The reality is everything is starting to change. You have all sorts of different attributes that you can use in the higher vibrations that don't really work that well in the lower vibrations. You're starting to see things again that will work in both. So everything is a little bit confusing as you're starting to anchor into this higher reality and this other aspect. Will humans evolve their eyesight? Yes. In fact, we've been working with that in the Lightmaster group for several years now. We have just started to expand even the work with the eyes and the ears in the Lightmaster group to start anchoring into a fifth dimensional reality, to function in a fifth dimensional reality. So what is going to take place? Will you be able to see the other side of the veil? No, you won't. The reality is that you're moving closer, which is why we give you the illustration of the human angel. You have the human down here, you have the angel up here. You're moving somewhere in between. You're getting this interim spot that we're calling the fifth dimension. It is a higher frequency that you can live in. You experience moments of it, even in the third dimension, when you smile, when you laugh, when you enjoy, when you allow yourself to really be free. But you can actually walk in that energy all the time in this higher frequency. It does take time. It's not a date that's going to trigger. It's not a moment where you'll never step back. There are times when you're going to jump up here and live for days and then come down and do something with mother who needs your attention or something of that nature and then come back up. This is going to be the frequency changes that we all start to experience on a regular basis. But as you do, you emanate that into the world. And that changes everything. Absolutely magnanimous to see. We know that you cannot see that. One of the things that you will be able to perceive going forward as you step in, as your bodies start to adapt, and we're talking quite a few years here. This doesn't happen. Your bodies are the densest part of you. They change the slowest. So the reality is your physical beings are going to change the slowest. But you have what we call the universal energy. Your scientists are calling it dark energy. Makes up about 78% of all the energy in the universe, and humans know nothing about it. But it's what connects everything. It is the same connection. It's the same free energy that Tesla was trying to tap. Now you're having people, you talk about free energy. Do you know that you're spinning on your planet at 1,000 miles an hour right now? If your planet were to stop spinning suddenly, everything would fly off into space at 1,000 miles an hour. Why can't you use that energy? You can. All of these things are natural forms. You're learning to use the sun. You're learning to use the wind. You're learning to use the natural. You're going to end up using the tides. There's a lot of things that you'll be able to do on a natural frequency to tap into that will start changing your relationship to the planet, your relationship to Mother Earth, and all of the rest of it. And we hope that helps quite a bit. It's a beautiful vision to keep. Know that there are obviously things to go through to get there, but you're working and it's starting to show. And that's magical. Espavo, we hope we've answered your question.
Great. Thank you. Hi, I have a background music for students to relax during meditation. Should I convert that into 432 hertz for better results? Can I add a binaural beat of 888 hertz, or will they cancel each other? Also, can I add any frequencies to one music track for best results? Thanks, Mike.
There are many possibilities of doing these things. When you send out a signal, many times that signal can be broken and still completely understood. There are times when you are speaking and sometimes you'll leave words out or descriptive phrases or something and it's still understood. You have the same thing with the frequencies. So if you set a 432 frequency, you need to allow your students time to acclimate to the 432. If you change over from one to the other for just a few seconds and switch back, they will not notice a difference. They'll go by feeling instead of by how it actually affects them. But if you were able to one day start using a 432 and the 888 on the binaural beats, yes, it's a little confusing at first, but the human attribute, the human being can adapt to all of that. You pick up signals from things that we drop on the planet all the time. You pick up signals from things that are set into motion all the time that are not clearly laid out. You just suddenly get an idea, don't you? Well, that's kind of how we think. We're dropping things in from here to there. And so not just us, but all of the beings. That's why we're going to share with you a little bit of what channeling is about from our perspective and show you what it's like to be here looking for ways to bring that energy into planet Earth. Very magical stuff coming up. So yes, we will work with a lot of these, but you're on target. You're right on track with what you're doing. So keep up the good work and know that to play with it. That's the idea. But the interesting thing is, if you change over to 432, if you move it up to scale a bit, the reality is check with your students. After you do it for a while, if you're running it for a week or whatever it is, check with them. See if they noticed the difference. See if they noticed a different feeling and see what they say, because that'll ultimately determine it. But we think you'll have incredible results. Dr. Mike Espavo.
Thank you. Hello, Steve and the group. I feel so lucky to have you in my life. For a while now, I've been pondering what my mission might be. Not so long ago, traveling and seeing new places brought me great joy, and that was probably my passion back then. Now I feel like I've dedicated myself solely to acquiring knowledge about myself, life, the world, and existence. That's why traveling has begun to feel like a waste of time. About a year ago, I came across your books and was completely captivated. I often read them with tears in my eyes. However, simply acquiring knowledge isn't enough for me. I feel like something is missing, but I don't know exactly what to do. I'm open to your guidance and direction in finding my passion. Thank you in advance. That is from Anonymous.
Anonymous. Amazing. You're a channel. You have come here from having a previous lifetime as a spiritual teacher that did not go well. You were accused of something that you did not do. And you ended up leaving that lifetime extremely frustrated. So you're here right now trying to figure out what this is about. Okay, I can read the book. I can understand this. I can read this. And we tell you, thank you for saying that you read with tears in your eyes. It was written with tears in his eyes. So absolutely. We understand that. That's the family connection. That's the piece. Now, we can give you that in writing, but you have to take it from there. If you really wish to anchor the energy coming in, pass it on. We call it grounding. When you get an idea, okay? And the idea comes into your brain. And that is basically what we call a channel. All creativity comes from the same place, our side of the veil. We're throwing these little pieces in here for you to find, the little crystals on your path that we hope you trip over and pick up and look at. So the reality is those are there on a regular basis. So when you do that, you can read it. You can get this information. You can hear about all these things. But it's not living it. In order to live it, you must pass it on. You must anchor it in a different way. So when you get an idea, you need to ground it. There's different levels of grounding. One level is to write it down. That's a level of grounding. Another level would be to write it down and publish it. Another level would be to tell somebody about it. Another level would be to tell a lot of people about it. So the idea is grounding is the piece that's missing. So you're bringing the energy in. You're feeling the connection of home. The tears are there. You know the connection to even us. We've known you for many lifetimes. The reality is you're part of this family. Now pass it on. There's peace here that you have come in to give to others. We can't tell you exactly what that is. Some of you will do it with words. Some of you will do it with energy. Some of you will do it with healing. Some of you will do it with teaching. Whatever the case, you have a piece that needs grounding. So you're bringing the energy in from all these books, from all this reading material, great ideas. Ground it in your heart by doing something with it. Pass it on and enjoy the ride. Most people will come up with all the excuses. Well, what am I going to say that hasn't already been said before? How am I going? What makes me an expert at this? All the fun questions that you humans ask each other. Absolutely amazing. We know that you must wrestle with your ego, but at the same time, please know, you got it. Pass it on. Espavo.
Thank you. All right, here's a question from Thomas in Brazil. What's my soul mission on planet Earth? And with what specifically should my work be aligned to? Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there are many aspects of this that we can tell you about as far as what your soul mission is on planet Earth. You've come to hold energy and to plant seeds. You're uh, very, very well rounded as far as your ideas of what is coming in the future. You have ingrained in you a deep understanding of what is coming. Um, that is one of the key elements. It may be frustrating for you sometimes because there may be times where you feel this and you see these changes that are needed and you're not able to put them into use because humanity is not quite ready. So in many ways, it can be a little frustrating to have that wisdom and have that knowledge and not be able to see it into action. But to hold it, to be there, to be part of it is a critical piece. Now, of course, there's many ways of grounding it, which is a key element. Pass it on, teach somebody. Maybe you don't feel like you have the wisdom to teach someone. So how do you teach someone when you have your own doubts about yourself? You ask questions. It's real simple. Just ask questions. I've wondered about this. What do you think? Perfect way to start discussions, to start conversations about things outside of your physical being. That's the spirit. That's the piece that you'll work with over and over and over again. Now, we're going to have to go over to the chat room pretty soon. We'll take one more question from the people that have sent it in. We'll try to pick up the next ones next time. Espavo, back to you.
All right, our last question. Hello, dear Steve and Steve's team. My name is Arena. I am participating in the 12-step program for adult children from alcoholic and dysfunctional families. For many years, I felt like a suffering child deep inside myself. I've read your book about life lessons, but I still haven't figured out which one is mine. Many of them resonated with me. Could I have several life lessons? I suffer greatly from fears, doubts, and mistrust, and I want to understand my life's purpose. Please help me.
Well, you just said it. You just said it. Trust. The biggest life, one of the most challenging of all life lessons is learning to trust. Many times it will start from a catalyst, usually in your childhood. Sometimes this will be abandonment. Sometimes it'll be abuse. Sometimes it'll be verbal abuse. Sometimes, whatever the case, almost all of it comes back to these imprints that you get. Now, humans are becoming very much aware of this. You're calling it PTSD. You're calling it trauma, which is exactly what it is. It's a trauma imprint. Now, you would think of that as being bad, but the reality is most of your advances on humanity come from some of those trauma imprints. And it's wonderful that you're acknowledging them, starting to see that maybe many of these things go back. But furthermore, they can go back further than that. You have picked up some of the traumas from some of your generation. There are times, dear ones, when you come in as a human and you start to prepare to come in. You make your contracts around the big table. You get everything set up. And before you come in, you look at your genetic line and you look at where this is. And if there's anything that you can resolve that is unsettled from previous times, sometimes you'll actually take it on. It is a generational trauma that you're picking up and many times work with. You'll have sensitivities. You'll have people that can read you that say, oh, you were put to death in a previous lifetime. Well, maybe it was, or maybe it was your grandfather. It doesn't make any difference. It's very common to pick up these traumas because they lead to evolution. That's the difficult part about it. You think of all these things as being extremely negative. You want to go through your life avoiding trauma, and we're over here going, "Oh, they just had a trauma. Let's see what they're going to do with it." We look at it from a totally different perspective. Take a look at what you're working with. Choose how you wish to deal with it. Choose where you are, and choose what you wish to pass on. You're closer than you think. Well done, dear one. Well done. Lavon, thank you, dear. You are a very special lady, Espavo.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Thank you.
And now we'll bring in Debbie.
Hey, thanks, Levon. Lots of good questions. And we have quite a few in the queue today in the chat room, so we'll see how many we get to. We'll start off with a few questions, two questions from Nicole, but she did want to start by saying she had taken the Ageless course that's out there, and she said it was very powerful, and thanks you very much for that. Her first question is a female question that says she has issues with her menstruation. She either bleeds too much, too long, or I don't menstruate at all for 3, 4, 5 months. Can you help me or give me insight?
There is something you are allergic to that is setting it off. It is, most of the time when you have an allergy to something, let's just say you have a nasal allergy or something of that nature, and you inhale it into your system within usually 12 hours, it anchors, you start to have results, you start to see things. There are some allergies that have a much longer reaction time. That is what you're dealing with on this situation. With that, there are things that you're allergic to that you may never find. The key is to know that there is a trigger for this and to not take it over seriously. You're liable to be dealing with this the rest of your adult life in different ways. You will find ways of smoothing it out, of uncomplicating it. You will find ways of making it a little bit more regular. But the reality is your spirit is having challenges with the physical female form, period. So it's a fairly new one. This is one of your first times as a female on this planet. And it's fascinating. Many of you have been here thousands of times on planet Earth, investing over and over and over again. Most of the time, you choose the same setup. You choose the same sex. You choose the same basic idea of where you're going to be as far as the star arrangements, as far as when you're going to come in, what kind of attributes you're going to carry. You get a comfort zone. But then you get change. And sometimes things change very drastically. That is what's happening here. It's part of what's taking place. And the allergy, you may find, you may not. We're not quite sure if that's in the cards for you coming forward. But even if you do find it, it won't be an immediate reaction. It will probably take weeks to finally settle down and to work in those areas. But the first place is to know, number one, when you have an illness, especially a challenge of some sort that the doctors cannot quantify for you, cannot put in a little neat box that you can understand, your brain automatically goes to, I'm dying. It's just a natural process that humans do. You'll take it to the extreme events. What we're telling you is that you will find some answers going forward, but don't take it too seriously. Use what you've got. Enjoy what you've got. We know it's awkward. We know it's challenging. There will be times when you're able to work with it a little more clearly. But the reality is there's nothing really wrong. And that we will tell you. And we hope that helps you to at least alleviate some of the fear. Espavo.
Thank you. Very insightful and hopefully very helpful for Nicole. Her second question is that she seems to be repeating a cycle with her family that does not serve her anymore. What do I need to do to break the cycle and be able to move out of my mother's house for good? Thank you.
Well, that is a challenge. The interesting part about it is you will find your relationships with your family changing, especially with your mother, down the road as you start to anchor that energy in a different way. It does take all the humans have a separation that obviously we don't deal with in different ways. You also separate your thoughts and your feelings. So we tell you to balance anything, to create anything, you want to balance your thoughts and your heart. So your heart must be on board with what you're manifesting as well as your thoughts to do that. And that's unusual for a spirit. Spirits at home don't have to do any of that. They hold something up and everybody creates it together. It's a amazing thing because you're a part of everything. So it's a different type of situation entirely, but know that you're on track with it. And again, don't panic with it. You're going to have to put your boundaries down. The other life lesson that you are probably working with, and we say that because you're really the only person that can decide your life lessons, not even us, is definition. Definition simply means that you're born with very strong energy and very weak boundaries. So for you to say no, especially to the catalyst in your life who happens to be your mother, is very difficult. So the idea is to practice that. Practice saying no with love in your heart and a smile on your face. And practice it. Work with it. Work with telling her, Mom, I'm going to say something I hardly ever say to you. I'm not going to be able to do that. That's not going to work for me. And you'll find yourself being able to put it into words she probably won't understand in the beginning because she's used to manipulating you. And please understand, she's not a bad person. It's kind of your setup that's bringing out the master manipulator in her. So being able to put those boundaries down, even though they may cause a division in the beginning, the reality is that sets the energy for the rest of your life, for the rest of her life, and possibilities. Most of the time, they will settle. Most of the time, you'll get to the other side of it. If you don't, you still need to be able to put those boundaries down because what you're doing now is not going to work. It's going to end up draining you. And there'll come a point where you explode and you overreact. Please act instead of overreacting. Take small steps. Explain the situation. Let her know you want to move out. Let her know you're trying to figure out ways of moving out and have her help you. There's some interesting things that can take place. We hope that helps. Espavo.
Thank you very much. We have another question. Well, it's the first part of the question you've already addressed. He had sent it in to Levon. This is Tomas. And he is asking about the last part. Does he have any autism spectrum degree that he should know about?
Everyone has a certain amount of what you are calling autism. Down the road, you're going to find some very fascinating things. And we're talking 50 years down the road. The reality is that you're going to find that there's a whole level of creativity coming in with this process that you call autism. Of course, being a human, you're calling it an illness. You're looking for the cause. You're looking to point fingers. You're looking to do all these things. This is crazy. The reality is you're coming in from all sorts of things. Will you eventually find a cause? You'll sort of find a cause. You'll sort of understand it down the road. But the reality is nothing's wrong. What if these beings that are coming in with this energy are bringing in a higher level of humanity and having difficulty being able to communicate it? Because that's where the biggest challenge is. Almost everyone on your planet has some degree of what you call autism. That's why you call it a spectrum. It can show up in so many different ways. Again, down the road, as some of this energy comes in, there's a lot of money trying to keep people from finding out what the problem is, obviously, which is typical of things that happen sometimes in the pharmaceutical industry. So the reality is things have taken place. No, it is not the vaccines, but there are things that have taken place in different areas that you will find out. And not just the pharmaceutical, also the chemical industry. Particularly one chemical that you may find down the road has had a huge effect on humanity called glyphosate. And you're still using it like crazy. So until little energy starts to change there, you will still be dealing with this for some time. But the reality is you're starting to shift a lot of it. So look for where you are right now, how you can make the highest potential right now with it, and let the rest go. the best suggestion we give you at this moment. Espavo.
Thank you very much. And we're moving on now to, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it properly, but Shambhala is asking about, she had moved to another house and her old house, she may not be a she, so my apologies, but they moved to another house and her old house has been on sale for 11 months now, but nobody is coming to look or buy. What could be the problem?
It's a large problem. It's not a small problem. This is happening to the housing industry, particularly the high end of the housing industry throughout the United States. It will spread. There's liable to be, as we've mentioned before, your systems are the part that take the slowest amount to evolve. And sometimes those systems have to crack. Sometimes you patch the crack up. Sometimes it falls apart. Sometimes you have to rebuild it from scratch. Whatever the case, the systems you're seeing right now, wavering all over the place, all of your monetary systems are doing it. The dollar is taking a nosedive compared to the rest of the currencies throughout the world. You're also seeing in the United States, particularly, the high end of real estate starting to slide rather drastically. We'll tell you that this has been predicted. It's happening. It's in motion now. You probably won't make the front page of your headlines because people don't like to spread fear, and that's understandable. But you're in the process of a reset. You're going to see it in monetary. You're going to see it in political. You're seeing it in political all the time. You're seeing it in all of your systems must upgrade themselves in some way. Now, humans are resistant to change. What can we say? It's the reason you want to go back and live in the old days rather than you want to make America great again rather than just be step forward. It's all about going backwards and backwards to be able to find that comfort zone. It wasn't there to begin with. You're going to find a lot of things that are stepping forward and new capabilities that are starting to evolve rather quickly. And you'll see a lot of systems starting to change. That's part of what's going to be taking place down the road. We know that in reality, it's all going to lead to something higher. And that's the key. If you keep your eye on the ball, you can watch the change, you can watch the collapse of something and pay attention to that and fear it and make it worse. Or you can put yourself a little further down the road and see what's going to happen as a result of all the changes. You'll live in a higher vibration, everything. This is possible. And this is not only possible, it's where you're heading. And it's the greatest opportunities that you have. Espavo.
Thank you very much. We now have a question from Shani Just Be Love. Hello, Steve and the group. Am I going to be contented in my retirement? Am I going to stay safe in South Africa?
You were called to South Africa for a reason. There's 2 more contracts to complete before you leave there, if you so decide to leave there. That decision hasn't actually been made yet, so stay loose. It'll have a lot to do with the other contracts that are coming up that you were working with. You've done a lot by going to South Africa. You have planted some incredible seeds. You've done a really good job. But there are 2 more people that you will meet, even possibly very briefly. But they're key elements in being able to pass something on, to pass something on, to pass something on. So in many ways, it could be a very brief exposure that you still have with these 2 people, but there's 2 more people that are going to keep you there. Probably your spirit will want to keep you there until those are complete, because they're in your realm and they're able to complete a lot of things. So watch for them. Absolutely. You'll know them. You'll meet someone that will literally be part of your spiritual family. And sometimes all you need to do is meet them. You may never see them again after that, but they will be part of your energy from that point forward. And there's a completion of energy of a group that you have been gathering and you have been bringing together. And there's 2 more. And that's the idea. Enjoy the journey. You're in a great place. Where are you going to be content in your retirement? The first question? No, nobody's content in their retirement. It will be content in one way. You won't have to work so hard. You won't have to focus on where everything's coming from. But at the same time, you're going to be busy. There's nobody that's going to sit and go fishing for the rest of their lives. That ends things very quickly. You have work to do, the real work that you came to do. Enjoy the journey. You'll love it. Espavo.
Perfect. Another personal question comes from Tara Navarro. Hi, I feel like there are a lot of changes coming in my life, such as moving to a new city and the company I work for is going bankrupt. I feel a little lost about what to do. I work online and am soon to be 63.
The whole idea of humanity has to change. Your relationship to your physical bodies has to change. Part of it is your society, your understanding of how long your parents lived, how long your grandparents lived, how they worked. It was fairly normal. Everybody would work to age 65, mandatory retirement, would spend the rest of their life doing something they loved. That was the idea. It did not work. It still is not working. The reality is people are working longer, not necessarily just to support themselves, but because it gives them purpose. It gives them an important piece that they can be a part of a team, they can be a part of building something, whereas many times they can't create that structure on their own. So there's lots of things that are going to change as you go forward. As we have been talking about in the 2 events that we've done on reverse aging and stepping into the ageless body, you're going to be living a lot longer. So it'd be very wise to rethink a lot of the things that you thought about your aging process. The human body was originally designed to be 300 years or more. There are stories in your Bible about people that lived to be 900 years. Oh, yes, there's all the ideas. Oh, maybe you counted things different. Maybe that was different. Maybe they just expanded the story, whatever the case. Those were real. And you have those capabilities as well. The average lifespan can be 300 years. Now, does that mean this is going to happen tomorrow? No, but it's happening right now as you talk about it, which is why your systems of retirement, all those ideas are starting to fall apart. They don't work the same. You're different human beings. You're different level of spirit, and that's perfect. So what does it mean? Does it mean you're going to work until age 80? Well, you'll decide any of those work things, because the reality is even the whole idea of work is going to change in the 5th dimension. It will be much closer related to passion than to struggle. And you'll enjoy that part a lot. So many aspects to come with that. Keep smiling. Watch for the best. Expect the best. Enjoy the ride. Espavo.
Thank you. And we will keep smiling. For the next question, Julia Poole is asking, how can I learn to hear my guides from the other side of the veil?
That is a critical piece. As you evolve, you are basically becoming closer to home. We'll just say this is heaven, this is earth. You're moving up the ladder, basically, is what's happening. Everything is changing. We have been labeling it the 5th dimension. Everybody wants to know what happened to the 4th. The reality is all these things are changing very, very quickly. And it's a fascinating way of looking at things. But as you evolve, things change. We're talking about your physical body changing. We're talking about your evolution changing. We're talking about your habits changing. We're talking about your function in life extending and being more important. Sorry, we've overwhelmed the keeper. Give just a moment. Sorry. Ooh. Can you repeat the last part of that question so we can stay on track, please?
Can she learn to hear her guides from the other side of the veil?
As you evolve into this higher vibration, everyone channels. And that is a natural aspect. The reality is you all channel now. You call it different things. You listen to it in different ways. Yet you have no problem understanding the stories. It happens all the time. Einstein is trying to resolve a problem that he just can't resolve. And he goes to sleep and he wakes up and he's resolved the problem. Copernicus walks outside one night and looks at the stars and gets this idea that maybe the Earth is not the center of the universe, that maybe we're actually traveling around the sun, and he rewrites history from that moment forward. We all start understanding things from a different. Where did it come from? Where did that happen? You have Moses that went to the top of the mountain and comes down with all these guides for humanity. You have all these things that were moments of inspiration. You can actually learn to live in that. The keeper is doing that now. People can walk in this aspect. You can talk to the keeper when he is going into a channel, you call it. Well, the reality is we're with him all the time. We never leave him alone, even though sometimes he likes it. The reality is that we're always there. We're part of him in many ways. That is the channel. So learning to listen to that, learning the attributes of being able to do that, that is actually what we're going to be teaching next month. We're doing a opening to channel class next month, 2 days. And we're giving it 3 days translated into Russian. And it's already done very well in Russia, especially. So the reality is we all do this. We all do it in different ways. We can learn ideas to know. And we tell you, most of the time when you get really good at doing this, you may be just a little bit disappointed because you've had it deep inside all your life. You're just giving expression to some of the things that you've actually carried in. Enjoy it. Know that you're always part of it. Keep the journey going. Espavo.
Thanks very much. We have a few more. This one is from Dorothea Lowe. I was wondering about Planet X, or Nibiru. The Zetas say it will shuffle the continent by 2027. Please advise.
Planet X, Nibiru, is basically on an extremely elliptical orbit. It could be considered to be an orbit around Earth, but it's around a lot of things. It is a real planet, although they've never been able to actually identify it. They've never been able to. NASA has looked very, very closely. You can tell it's there because of the gravitational pull. As it comes through certain areas, different planets and so forth react to its gravitational pull. So they know it's there. They've never been able to see it. They've never been able to quantify this is exactly what it is and this is who it is. Right now, it's on the far side of the elliptical. It won't be coming around for many years. Now, will it change everything by moving? Everything changes everything. Every time the sun changes even a little bit, the whole universe changes. Every time the Earth moves around in its daily cycle, the whole universe changes. So there are actions, reactions throughout everything. Is it going to change and Nibiru actually bring about a whole new reality that'll be wonderful for all of humanity? No, that's we see. There are things that you can plant. You're planting seeds of a higher reality. Is it caused by Nibiru? Only if you want it to be. The reality is you can do it perfectly on your own as well. And that's what we see. We see it taking place in many ways. Fascinating stuff. Espavo, dear ones. What we tell you, you should keep your eye on is what's going to be happening in the next few days. Because when you see the I3 Atlas, as you're calling it, you understand that this is not just a little thing in the sky. It is the size of New York. It is huge. This is something really big. If they're very concerned, and although they weren't saying it, the NASA and the ESA were very concerned that particles from this would fly off and hit Earth, just like one did 65 million years ago, ending the dinosaurs' reign. The reality is it would have only taken a small piece of it. It is the size of New York. Now, it has divided. Things have happened. But it's also getting ready around the first part of December to come the closest to planet Earth. And you'll be able to see real reporting of what this is, what's taking place with it, what's happening. But the seeds of the I3 Atlas have already been planted. And it's a good thing. You will enjoy this journey. And we'll tell you that as well to kind of give you a little insight of some fun things that are taking place. Your world is changing, and so is your universe. Espavo.
Thank you for sharing that insight. We've all been hearing a lot about 3i Atlas, so we'll be looking forward to something in December. We have a couple of short follow-up questions. Terry Navarro says she has had problems with her teeth since she was a little girl, and she wonders if this comes from other lives. Thanks a lot.
There was a life that you had wooden teeth. It was extremely painful, extremely difficult. You thought over and over again that you wished you would not have done that, because it was basically replaced your existing teeth with the wooden teeth of the time. It did not stop the biologics. It did not stop the the seeds that were already planted of illness. You basically died from your teeth. Your teeth ended up poisoning you. So that resolution is still hanging in the air, and you have stepped into a body that has kind of picked that up. So you can resolve this in different ways. There are some keys that you can use to start working with your teeth in a different way, but it's going to have to be quite a bit different. You look at a certain aspects of things that can help you, that can work with you in some areas, and others. We do not typically give medical information because our interpretation of your medicines can be widely, we simply don't need to do that. But if you will pay attention to what is taking place, what is going on with your teeth, what is happening, and look around for other possible things that you can try. What we see you doing is discovering something very simple, everyday subjects, everyday substance that you can actually start increasing the root activity of your teeth. There are new discoveries just being made, but because of the way that your pharmaceutical industries work and your laws and so forth, it's going to be quite a bit of time before they are there. But literally, there are things that can now start to rejuvenate the actual tooth, even if it started to degrade. And this is all new. Hasn't worked its way even into your mainstream sciences yet, but it's coming. These are perfect things that can help you down the road. In the meantime, look for the normal things. You never know what's going to be able to help you, whether it's a fluoride treatment, whether it's a peanut butter on your gums or something of that nature. There literally could be something in everyday world that can help you right now. And down the road, there's a lot of things that are working to help you permanently. So be patient, stay with it. Know that this is a repeat from previous lifetime. Particularly one thing that you set up, you chose it. It is a conscious thing, which means there's something to learn from it. Learn it, and you'll release it pretty quick. Enjoy that. Espavo.
Thank you. And we have a follow-up from Nicole on another health-related question. She said that ever since she took the Ageless course, she's been having pain in the lower part of her tummy. Can you help or give insight into why this might be?
There is something moving in there that basically is a rearrangement. Um, there are times when your intestines actually move inside your body and form new locations and so forth. There are a lot of things in motion. When it's a permanent new location, you will have a pain that will be there for a couple of weeks. Shouldn't last much more than that. If there is, go try to find out what it is, because your human search, as we mentioned before, when humans get sick, the first thing they do is, oh, I'm dying. I wonder if I have cancer. I wonder, they project into the furthest reach of what can happen. So be careful of that, because in these times you are vulnerable. You can plant seeds of an illness much worse than the one you actually have. So try to lighten up with it a little bit. Try to know that this is something that you're working with and you have something you can gain from it. You know, dear ones, when you look at your lives, when you look behind you, at many of the most important things that have really almost stopped your life in some way, you'll find that the greatest changes have come from those. And when you look back on them, even though they may have a bittersweet or painful memory to them, they cause change. And the change is where you're moving. That's the most beautiful part of what you have going on right now. You're on a planet of change. And we hope you enjoy the ride rather than hang on too tightly. Know that you can create many of the problems that you're trying to avoid simply by fearing them. Your own creative ability is also increasing drastically as you move into higher frequencies. You can also create beauty. And that's what we ask you all to do. Dear ones, we're going to end this at this point because that is our time limit. But we also tell you that you are magicians of the game board. You have so many capabilities. We hope nothing more than to plant some seeds to tell you a little bit of who you are and what you are capable of. And the idea is to teach you everything that we can, offer you every tool, every idea, every empowerment that we can, in hopes that you will turn it on. How do you live in an empowered world? Very simple. You empower the people around you, and suddenly it happens. You're closer than you think. Keep up the good work. With that, I will leave you now. With the greatest of honor, I ask you to treat each other with the highest respect. Nurture one another at every opportunity that you have, and play well together as you play and create this new game. Well done, dear ones. Well done. I am the keeper of time. I check in with you from time to time, and I love you dearly. Espavo, dear ones, thank you for taking your power.